Hello, everyone. How you doing this morning? So I have a subscriber question that is about 10 days old, and that's pretty rare for me. I unfortunately couldn't get to it before we took off to LA for a little while, so I wanted to make sure I recorded it today. And actually, I'm going to post it later this afternoon. So the subscriber question is basically around, um, how do you know if you have a good CPA? With a follow-on question about, is it important to have your CPA, live where you are? So I'm going to tackle the second one first because it's probably the most straightforward. My CPA or my accountant actually doesn't reside, at least full-time, where Olivia and I are. He does come out here for tax season. Spends about 6 weeks here because he has a bunch of clients in the Bay Area. But he spends most of his time on the East Coast. As far as my CPA goes, I talk to him about once every 90 days or so, just checking in, asking questions. I do email him, text him, just as things come up, because I want to make sure, we're always in step. I actually treat going to the my accountant, for tax season, almost like returning my report card in. Right, this is how we did this year, and it's important as someone helping me quote unquote grade my work for the year, that I ask questions. And going to the first part of the question now, that's the important part of having a good CPA, right? Can you talk to them? Do you enjoy talking with them? Do they ask probing questions? Because I believe being a good accountant is not simply yes and no answers. It may happen sometimes, but it's more about, well, why did you think that? Or where are you going with this? Or what is your long-term plan? Because there may be some things that would feel good in the short term that would be bad in the long term. So talking with your CPA and having somebody that you can have a conversation with about real estate. Like lots of things in my business, I like to work with accountants that have experience in real estate. Now, they may not have large portfolios. They may not even treat real estate as a full-time thing. But understanding that they have some kind of background in real estate, understanding they have other clients that have real estate investing are important to me. I believe on this channel, we interviewed a gentleman out of Maine, of all places. I think it was Bob Langworthy, who is an example of an accountant that I think would be one to speak with. I think we've interviewed him a couple of different times. I know we talked about seller financing in a couple of back-to-back videos. So look him up. That's, when you hear his story, because I also interviewed him, that's the kind of accountant, that feels good to me. Now, obviously, I would want to have more questions and, talk about our plan and our journey and all of that. But when you hear Bob speak, you're going to hear an accountant who has real estate background. He tells what he does. He talks about buying his office building. He talks about financing and LLCs and depreciation and 1031. And he understands not only the accounting side, but the buying and acquisition side. And those are the important things. So when you're looking for a CPA, it's not just someone that understands the tax code and is going to keep you out of jail. That's the minimum, right? That's the bare bones. I want somebody that I can have a conversation with, tell them my plans for this year, what we're shooting for, ask questions, what other things we could do to reduce our, this year's tax return as far as what we'll owe. What's our long-term plan? How can we do things that are tax efficient long-term? Maybe we pay a little bit more now, but over time it's better for us. So that's really what's important for me, an accountant. An accountant and a attorney or lawyer are kind of synonymous. The one thing I would say is when you're starting out, if you can, is at least get a conference call with your CPA and your accountant, CPA and your lawyer, excuse me, because I have found over time that sometimes investors talk to the accountant, then they talk to the attorney, and then they talk to the accountant, and then they talk to the attorney. And it would be so much more efficient if both of those team members were on the same page, because the attorney may be answering questions strictly from a legal perspective, not understanding the accounting side. And maybe there's a middle ground that if you had both of them talking at the same time would be better. So I apologize for taking so long to create this answer to subscriber questions. It's the only one I could think of to date that's taken longer than 3 days. So I apologize for that. We're back on schedule now. I don't think I have any trips until a wedding in September. So keep them up. If you have a question, leave it in the comments. If anything is unclear about it, leave it in the comments. And as always, have a wonderful day.